Dallas, I know that you've had various experiences with grades, and then our teachers here at Roosevelt, and we have different teachers with different styles of grades, and I know it's something that you've reflected on. So tell me a little bit about how different teachers grade differently and what your experience has been with that.
Okay, I have opinions on kind of two separate entities of this that like kind of come together.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as having like the same subject, like one or two kids that are going into the exact same subject but get two different teachers, I don't think it's fair to have different opportunities or outcomes based on like the teacher instead of the student. So I know that the English department is leaning towards like doing the same things, but like just in general, like it's for like a student to get a fair education, I feel really strongly about like the teams having the same standards and everything. Also, I think I personally really, really love learning, and I think I'm really smart. Like I think so. And I just got a letter of recommendation from Ms. Overding. I love Ms. Overding. And it said that last year, I was in her class, I had her last year and this year, and it said last year I got a C, and she said that I was one of her brightest student in the class, and that everything I brought to the table was like meeting every standard that they say that you need to have in that class.
Which was AP Lang?
Yeah, AP Lang last year. And I also, that year, I was getting really into theater, which is my passion and it's what I want to do in life. And I had, like, I don't know, a lot of other things going on that I obviously prioritize. And I loved language arts and I loved learning. And I felt really strong in that subject. And I ended up with a C. And I didn't even talk to her about it. And she reflected on it. And she has the same opinion as me. And, like, she agrees, like, it should be about whether the student is learning the standards and whether like they're bringing to the table what they're asked to bring to the table, and every student has the same standard to bring to the table. And as far as turning in like a worksheet that they might not need because they've already shown the standard or whatever, we don't think that it should affect grades so much. So she changed her I got her this year again, she changed her entire grading standards based on like what the student brings to the table and what the student's learning, and if they're like gathering the information that she's teaching. And now I'm her #1 top student in class, and I haven't changed my work ethic. And I feel like that's really important because, like, I don't know, I don't prioritize things like out of disrespect or anything, or out of like, oh, I don't want to do this because I don't feel like I have to do it. But like if I'm doing great in math and I understand the standard, I'd rather spend time applying for scholarships or working on theater stuff that could improve my me in theater than doing a worksheet that I will get an A on the test next class anyway, whether or not I do it,
Right. So let me ask you about math in particular, because I know that in math, you, if I remember right, you didn't have a great grade last year.
No.
However, you're really strong in math. What happened?
The same situation. My teacher, every time we would have like a review sessions or anything, she'd be like, can you help this student with this? She would ask me to come to after school tutoring, and like I would ace every single test. And the way that she just happened to do her grading was like she weighed homework really heavily, and I didn't do the homework because I didn't feel like I was learning from it, and I felt like I could spend my time like bettering myself in other ways. And again, I'm so sorry, it was not out of disrespect, but I cared more about learning than about, doing a worksheet.
Right.
So I ended up with a low C in that class, and coming to class every day and she asking me like, can you please help with this? Dally knows how to do it. Can Dally teach you? And stuff like that. So it just made me feel like, I don't know, I didn't feel like I got the grade that I deserved, even though like my work ethic or like what I actually turned in might not have been like the best,
right.
But I felt like the standards that were being asked that like she goes over in the syllabus in the beginning of the year, I felt like I met all of them.
And so if I remember right, you got, if I remember right, it was 2 4s on your SBAC? Was it?
Yeah.
You scored the highest you could on both math and language arts SBAC.
Yeah.
But you had a C in language arts,
yeah.
and in math you also had a C?
Yeah.
you ended up with a C, even though that you were running the reviews, and you got the top score on the SBAC.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, but so this year you had Miss Overdank. Tell me how she changed.
She would still give things to do, worksheets, but she made them all like 1 point, and it was very much, it wasn't busy work. It was very much like just to see if the kid understood the standards, and she spent a lot of like her time like with discussions and like one-on-one with kids, or just like talking to them and just making sure that like they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And she can see like easily in those conversations and in those like in that environment like what kids like need work, what areas that everyone needs work on, and like what standards we're meeting. And
were there standards that you were lacking in?
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm definitely strongest at essays.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, I would come to class and write my essays all the time. But as far as all the little worksheets, like the fill in the, I don't know, just stuff that teachers feel like they should give because it's relevant to the topic. But if it's just like practice, because practice is like what makes you like, or at least me as a learner, it makes me like remember what to do, and it like makes me like help understand it and learn it. But once like that repetition like has like been engraved in my brain, I don't need it anymore.
Yeah. And
so she kind of cut that in general, and she made all of her grades based on like the testing and like the things that she said like she would grade on, you know what I mean?
Right,
like just the standards. Yeah.
So what happened in math this year?
This year, okay, that's different. I just wasn't good at math this year, and I'm very strong, like, headed as far as...
Keep going.
Should I
Keep
go?
going.
Okay. As far as, like, where I feel my priority should be, and I think I made the wrong decision in the beginning of the year taking the math that I took, or taking A math, because as soon as I was told by my college after I got accepted, oh, you don't need this, you don't need that, like, I was like, okay, then I'm going to put my focus into, like, voice lessons and into my AP Gov, because that's something that could help me in college and stuff. So that part was a lot of me just not doing it because I didn't prioritize it, because I didn't feel like it really affected me, and it still doesn't.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else you can think of to ask Dr. Tellez? I don't know that.
No, I think that was awesome, and her explanation of all of that experience was pretty awesome.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great.